What is up, Cowboy Nation? Dallas fan 1997 here, guys. And tomorrow, our Dallas Cowboys, who are 7-9, take on the Washington Commanders, who are 11-5. To be honest with you, Fan Nation, Cowboys Nation, the motivation for making this video is pretty low. I mean, the only reason, honestly, there's really no desire for me to watch this game. The only reason I'm watching this game tomorrow is because I'm a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, and, you support your team through thick and thin no matter what. No matter, win, lose, or die. That's what you do as a diehard fan. But, man, just not really looking forward to this game tomorrow. It's a meaningless game. It really is. Obviously, if we win, that's great. Hey, Cowboys get a win. If not, just a better draft position, At this point, it is meaningless because we're out of the playoffs. We can't get a winning record. It is what it is. Trey Lance, it sounds like he's going to play a lot tomorrow, which makes sense. I see it from both sides. Obviously, there's no point in playing Cooper Rush. The Cowboys are out of playoff contention. If we lose, it really doesn't matter. If anything, it kind of helps us get a better draft spot. If we win and he looks great, then hey, maybe we got somebody for the future there. But I also see it from the side of the reason why he's playing. Besides that, is also because if Cooper Rush, there was an article out that if Cooper Rush plays this entire game tomorrow, he will have played over 55% of the snaps, which means the Joneses, who are tightwads when it comes to paying certain players, would have to go out there and pay Cooper Rush, and they don't want to do that. They already are embarrassed. They already look like idiots for paying Dak Prescott $60 million. They already look like idiots for paying a quarterback $60 million just for him to go out there and get outplayed by a $3 million backup quarterback by a pretty good amount, had more wins and better stats. So Joneses are doing this to save face with a certain part of the Cowboys fan base. But also, it's meaningless. So, it is what it is. The future looks pretty bleak if you're a Cowboys fan. I know that sounds depressing, but from what Jerry Jones says, it sounds like that no matter what happens tomorrow, that his decision, of who's going to be the coach next year won't be impacted. Unfortunately, he's probably going to bring back Mike McCarthy. I have no idea why he's bringing back Mike McCarthy. I guess it's because that he likes Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones. When Jerry Jones likes certain players or certain guys or certain coaches, he holds on to them longer than he should. Just look at Tyron Smith, Sean Lee, Jason Garrett, all those guys held on to him way longer than he should have. But, it is what it is. That's the Jerry Jones way. But it sounds like we're probably going to bring back Mike McCarthy no matter what happens in this game, which is not going to help us next year. Reason why, Jerry's come out and said he wants to do the best thing for what Dak wants. And, Dak and his big mouth came out and said that he wanted Mike McCarthy back. Personally, I've already said what I need to say about, Mike McCarthy. There's no reason for him to be back. He misevaluated his talent. It took him more than half the season to realize Rico Dowdle was the number one back, even though people like me and others were saying that, he should have been starting after the Pittsburgh Steelers game and running over running almost 100 yards against the top 5 rushing defense. So, yeah, Mike McCarthy's just a terrible talent evaluator. I think he's one of the worst talent evaluators. He's not the worst talent evaluator in the league. I take that back, but he's not a good talent evaluator. There's no reason to bring back Mike McCarthy next year. People will say, well, he had 3 straight 12-5 seasons, Dallas fan 97. Yeah, but look who he did it with. Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, the coach who's playing against us tomorrow. Mike McCarthy's record without Dan Quinn is a losing record. He went 6-10 in 2020 without Dan Quinn, and right now he's 7-9 without Dan Quinn. So Mike McCarthy has never had a winning season with Dan Quinn, ever. Mike McCarthy has never had a winning season without Dan Quinn. I said with Dan Quinn. Mike McCarthy without Dan Quinn has never had a winning season with the Dallas Cowboys. And that's not going to change after tomorrow. Every year he's been the coach here that he hasn't had Dan Quinn. He's had a losing season. And he's also the first coach since Dave Campo to have 2 losing seasons in his 10 years as a Cowboy. Bill Parcells didn't do that. Wade Phillips didn't do that. Not even Jason Garrett, Mr. 8-8 himself, had 2 losing seasons. Mike McCarthy has already had 2 losing seasons in 5 years. He is yet to have a winning season without Dan Quinn as his defensive coordinator, with his defense getting multiple turnovers, getting him second and third chances, and bailing him out of his bad decision-making, his bad coaching. Now that Dan Quinn's gone, Mike McCarthy's been exposed, and I knew this year 1. But it is what it is. With, if Jerry Jones brings him back, he deserves every bit of criticism, every bit of, everything he gets, he deserves. If he brings back McCarthy, he probably will. So I'm not excited about this year either, because it's just depressing. And this game, it's a meaningless game. I mean, if we win, cool, we get a win. But if we lose, then, hey, it's like we get a better draft pick. But, if you're a diehard fan, you got to do your best to watch all the games that you can, So I'm going to try and watch it and see what happens. But, really things to look for tomorrow is just see what Trey Lance can do. Trey Lance can play really good against a good defense, or not a good defense, but a good team in Washington. Maybe we got somebody for the future, It'd be an opportunity for Rico Dowdle to increase his 1,000 yards. Maybe we can see what guys like Jonathan Mingo, who we traded a 4th-round pick for, can do. Some of our younger players, give them a chance. Obviously, I hope that Jerry Jones moves on from Mike McCarthy. People say who you're going to get that's better. Mike McCarthy was brought to the Dallas Cowboys to win a Super Bowl, Fan Nation, Cowboys Nation. Mike McCarthy was not brought in here to rebuild a team. The Cowboys are no longer a championship caliber roster. They had one the last 3 years with Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Either Dak or Mike McCarthy, or the combination of both, failed in the games that mattered the most in the playoffs, despite having a very good team the last 3 years. We had a golden opportunity in 2021. Dak played like crap. Mike McCarthy coached like crap. 2022, Mike McCarthy actually coached pretty good in the playoffs, but Dak played like crap. Was the sole reason why we lost to the 49ers. Last year, the combination of everything, the bad defense, Dak Prescott playing bad in the first half, Mike McCarthy not having his team ready, got us beat. We had our chance, the window's closed. Mike McCarthy was not brought in here to run it back and, rebuild. He was brought in here to take us to the championship game, take us to the Super Bowl, and he didn't get it done. The Cowboys are now officially in rebuild mode. We need to get a coach that can rebuild a team. Mike McCarthy is not the coach to rebuild a roster. The Cowboys need a young coach like Mike Vrabel, Brian Flores, Kellen Moore, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. They need a young coach to come in here that holds players accountable, that can rebuild a roster in their image. People have floated around John Gruden. Listen, John Gruden is 61 years old. He's the same age as Mike McCarthy, and while he would bring some discipline, he wasn't exactly all that successful with the Las Vegas Raiders. So why would he be a great option? Other than, maybe he could light a fire under these guys. That's about it. He's an old, washed-up coach too. So my opinion is Jerry Jones should move on from Mike McCarthy. He should go for a younger coach. He should get a young coach like, Ben Johnson, Kellen Moore, Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel, Brian Flores, somebody that can come in here and rebuild the roster, somebody that can come in here and build a culture, build a winning culture, build discipline. But will he do that? Will him and Stephen Jones do that? No. More than likely, they'll probably bring back Mike McCarthy and extend him, which is a stupid idea. I'll say it. They're stupid if they do that, which we already know they're stupid. They've overpaid an average quarterback $60 million. We already know they're stupid when it comes to those decisions. So, all I got to say about tomorrow is it's a chance to watch the young players. And that's it. I hope it's Mike McCarthy's last game as a Cowboys head coach. People that are making excuses for him saying, oh, I wouldn't want to coach down there with Jerry Jones either. Mike McCarthy's given Jerry Jones has given Mike McCarthy quite a bit of free reign on the roster. And every decision he's made has been terrible. He wanted to go with a horrible 3-4 system. Jerry Jones stepped in and he brought in Dan Quinn. And Dan Quinn was the reason why we went through, 12-5 the last 3 out of 5 years with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy also is the one that wanted to call plays. They got rid of Kellen Moore, who was a top 5, top 10 offensive coordinator who a lot of fans complained about because Dak Prescott was playing bad and audibling out of plays. And now we have one of the worst offenses due to Mike McCarthy and his bad play calling. So there's a lot of reasons why Mike McCarthy should be fired, besides the ones I've just mentioned. But will Jerry Jones do it? Probably not. If Jerry Jones really cares about winning a championship before he dies, he's got to stop prioritizing money. Do I think he's going to do that? No. If he wants to win a championship before he dies, he's got to take a risk like he did in the 90s. He took a risk firing Tom Landry, the best coach in Cowboys history, who everybody hated him for it, and bringing in a young coach like Jimmy Johnson. He took a risk even by being honestly stupid and firing Jimmy Johnson in 1994 and bringing in, Barry Switzer. But even though Barry Switzer, a lot of his players were from Jimmy's team, he still got us Larry Allen and Deion Sanders to help us win. Jerry Jones wants to have a chance at winning again. He's got to stop being cheap when it comes to building the roster. He's got to stop overpaying players that don't deserve it, like Dak Prescott and many others. He's got to stop picking the safe guy. He needs to take a risk. Jerry was so successful in the 90s because he took risks. He was successful with Bill Parcells because he took a risk. He hasn't done that in over 20 years since Bill Parcells. And even Parcells wasn't great, but he brought us back to being at least decent. Jerry Jones, if he wants to rebuild and give the Cowboys fans hope, he's got to stop picking the safe guy. He's got to stop thinking about his pocketbooks, and he's got to start taking risks like he did early in his career. Do I think he'll do that? Probably not. But Jerry, do you hear this video, man? You got to start taking risks. Stephen Jones, if you hear this video, you guys got to start taking risks. Pick Mike Vrabel. Pick Brian Flores. Pick Ben Johnson, Kellen Moore. Pick a young, motivated, hungry head coach that can build a winning culture. Stop picking these retreads like Mike McCarthy and Wade Phillips. Heck, even though I like Bill Parcells, he was a retread. Stop picking these washed-up head coaches. Stop picking up these washed-up guys. You got to take somebody that's younger that can motivate and change the culture if you actually care about winning. That's my pregame video. We'll see what happens tomorrow. That's what I got to say. Peace.